exactly a trigger warning, but this is a formative rite of passage for me as a performer because I had a wardrobe malfunction on my way here. So you may get glimpses of fishnet covered navel, so apologies in advance, but also my actual trigger warnings are just a mention of suicide and suicidal ideation. So here we are. Hello, I'm Catherine Rose Turbes, and this story I'm about to tell is a microcosmic example of something beautiful that seems to happen to people with brains like mine. So, one of my favorite things about telling it is that oftentimes people like me have experienced their own version of this phenomena. In fact, this sort of thing has happened to me quite a few times, but this was the first time, and you always remember your first. This is the La Luna story, or how John Cameron Mitchell tricked me into graduating college. So this year was the first time since meeting him that I didn't get to properly see John Cameron Mitchell on his birthday. I mean, I did see him. We run in the same circles apparently, and I attempted to yell happy birthday to him across the crowded room at Joe's Pub, but unlike our usual birthday interactions, I didn't get the chance to give him a card. One might surmise that JCM and I are close friends, but alas, I'm just a mere head with the good fortune to have spent the last 4 April 21st with the birthday boy himself, outside the beautiful Belasco Theater or inside a very crowded Julius bar. It makes me happy to celebrate the birthdays of my idols. People far smarter than I, the sort who have the DSM-5 bookmarked onto their Google Pixel 2 phones, have armchair diagnosed me with BPD, given how highly I think of the people I admire. Favorite people TM, as it were. But don't worry, I promise I'm neither Annie Wilkes nor the titular Stan from the Eminem classic. John Cameron Mitchell is one of the brightest stars in my pantheon of idols. See, I discovered his most iconic creation, Hedwig, at the time of my life when most headheads discover her, when they need her. I just enrolled in college at Columbia. College, Chicago. I'm not that smart. I packed up my mom's car and drove bright-eyed and bushy-tailed from Minnesota to the first big city I'd ever visited. I was assured that when I arrived, I would be surrounded by kindred spirits, artsy bohemian types, and by that logic, I assumed they meant fellow queers. Nope! When I got home from my first day of acting classes, I was so disappointed that I cried myself to sleep. It wasn't long before that became my routine. Every night, as I lie in bed attempting to stifle my sobs, I listened to Wicked Little Town on repeat. Cliché, I know, but there I was, with the lyrics as my life support and a voice in my ears that helped me feel less alone. I made it through one semester, albeit barely. During my 9 a.m. Saturday morning math classes, yeah, I know, I'd watch videos of John Cameron Mitchell being interviewed. Betwixt talk of Eros and agape, he spoke of the homophobic acting teachers he had when he studied theater in Chicago. I guess some things never change. For a weekend in 2014, I went to New York City to investigate potential colleges, a thinly veiled excuse to see Hedwig on Broadway. I applied to the one school I visited, got accepted, and moved to New York. Again, a thinly veiled excuse to see Hedwig on Broadway. I saw it 12 times, half of which with John Cameron Mitchell reprising the role. One of those 6 times was on the night I found out that one of my best friends in the whole entire world had killed himself. If I hadn't been in the audience that night, I don't think I would have survived. Then Hedwig closed. I'd clearly suffered worse losses, but still, my psyche was compromised. I'd not yet discovered downtown theater. My famous below 14th Street idols were still strangers to me, and the queer community I pilgrimaged to New York to find felt as far away as it had on the nights I lie in bed listening to a voice sing, "And if you've got no other choice, you know you can follow my voice through the dark turns and noise of this wicked little town." When I turned 21, I literally counted down the days until my first managing. John Cameron Mitchell wasn't there, but my brain decided to straight up hallucinate that he was. This was before I realized that I couldn't hold my vermouth on the rocks to save my life. Nikki, the bartender, broke the news to me that there was no such John Cameron Mitchell in attendance after I'd attempted to buy my hallucination a drink. At John Cameron Mitchell's birthday managing, I checked with Nikki to make sure John was actually there before buying him a drink. After I did, Deonde, another bartender, handed me a wine cork to give him. I couldn't make heads or tails of it, but was grateful for the task. I now had an excuse to talk to JCM. No way to chicken out. I was given a cork to deliver, and by God, I was going to deliver it. I approached the man of the hour and handed him the cork. "Hi, I don't know why, but the bartender wanted me to give this to you." He took it, inspected it, smelled it, licked it. "I don't know, but while you're here, I have a card for you." He took my sap tacky letter written on a bodega card with a photo of a punk rock beer dog glued onto some cardstock. He smiled a knowing smile and enveloped me in a hug. My heart was so full to the brim that I couldn't sleep. My heart was so full to the brim as I sipped my purposely rotted down vermouth on the rocks and told all my fellow head friends all about the mysterious cork. Soon the hour grew late and I figured I ought to head home. I had an exam the following morning and I'd given JCM his card. What more could I want? I wove my way through the dance floor and snuck out the back door. As I stepped out of the bar, I saw the moon, full and beautiful. Then a voice I'd recognize anywhere. La Luna! I instinctively turned around to see John Cameron Mitchell howling at the moon. La Luna! He and his friends were bathed in green light, laughing and smoking. I admired their revelry, only to be reminded that I'd forgotten to give something to my own friends who set up camp inside by the jukebox. I'd have to make my way through John Cameron Mitchell's entourage, and in doing so, I'd ruin everything. I'd just gotten him to seemingly like me, and now he'll think I'm a fucking jerk interrupting his private party. I held my breath and attempted to not make my presence known. I cast my gaze down and made myself as small as I could muster. As I got to where he was standing, I saw John Cameron Mitchell looking at me, and when my eyes met his, a warm grin spread across his face. He smiled at me in a way that made me feel seen. I smiled back, straightened my posture, and walked back into Julius's to catch my friends. When I left for real, I was so full of joy that I couldn't sleep even if I tried. I exuberantly walked the city streets all night, teeming with a sort of palpable happiness that felt like a long-lost friend. Having John Cameron Mitchell ostensibly appreciate my existence was a far greater blessing than I could have ever imagined. I had this intense desire to do something worth making John Cameron Mitchell proud of me, and by extension make myself proud. And the one thing that felt actually somewhat within reach as someone who could barely fathom staying alive was graduating college. I promised myself then, every year, if and when I see John Cameron Mitchell on his birthday, I'm going to be a better version of the person he saw the year before. And thus far, I've consistently succeeded at that goal. I made my way to my college campus, stopping en route at the Belasco for a bit, as you do. Got to class early and without a wink of sleep, aced my exam and got myself on track to being a queer A student. For my senior year of college, I got myself this ring, $4 from a thrift store instead of Marymount's $80 nonsense. This is my version of class ring. It's the moon. La Luna! I graduated wearing both the ring and my mortarboard, decorated with Hedwig lyrics. And that, my friends, is the story of how John Cameron Mitchell unintentionally tricked me into graduating college. Thank you.